Oh yeah, we had a home field advantage for those years. It was an
Yeah,
electric crowd. They came to be part of something special, as you said earlier, Wash, because we could beat teams so many different ways. It was
yeah,
so entertaining to watch. I
yeah.
felt like you always exuded this notion of like, we want to accomplish two things tonight. We want to win the ball game, and we want the other team and the fans to know we enjoyed kicking their ass tonight.
That was it. That was definitely it. That was it.
You
It was
delivered on that.
fun. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was fun. It was fun sitting there watching those guys go and play. I remember when Elvis would do something crazy on the field, and I would get out my seat to go get him, and Michael or Beltray say, "Let me have him." So one time I got out and I went to go get him, and Michael said, "I got him." I said, "Michael, you and Beltray got to let me get some ass that time." I could never go get nothing because those two guys would always stop me. Always. They took care of everything. They really
Well,
did.
Wash, let's fast forward to 2011, which was a magical season again. We ended up going through Tampa in the first round. We beat Detroit, as you mentioned earlier, in the second round. Just Hall of Famers all over the field, and we walk into playing St. Louis in a 7-game series. We go back to St. Louis up 3-2 in what had been a absolutely spellbinding, entertaining series. Just epic performances on by both teams. Another group of Hall of Famers on both sides. We go up 3-2. It was probably one of the most entertaining baseball games in recent memory in the playoffs. It was when we were watching the World Series this past year. It was reminiscent of what we went through Game 6. But take us inside the dugout for Game 6. How was that for you to experience real time as we kind of went back and forth with them all game, ultimately losing at the end?
I remember we pushed that thing to the ninth inning, and we got two outs. We had two strikes on Bregman, and we broke his bat, and he was able to push that ball over the outfield to get that game tied. And then what's his name?
Yes.
Freeze, who had a heck of a series, came up, and the whole time in the dugout, I'm telling Gary, is Nelson in no doubles? Yeah. So I asked him again, is Nelson in no doubles? Yeah. Is Nelson in no doubles? Yeah, he's in no goddamn doubles. I said, okay, okay, okay. And Nelson thinking out there, I guess. Freeze kept slicing the ball to right field. So Nelson decided to come in. And when Nelson came in, he caught one. And that was the one time I didn't ask Gary, was we in no doubles? And if he would have been in no doubles, it would have just been a stand-up catch, and the Texas Rangers in 2011 would have had the World Series under their belt. But it didn't, and they beat us. Freeze came up again, and I think it was we went to extra innings, and I think he hit a home run to straightaway center field to take us out that night. The night before, we should have played because they talk about rain. It never came down. I think St. Louis talked them into that to give their pitchers an opportunity to get another day's rest because the rain never came.
Don't get me started on that one, Wash.
Okay,
Don't get me started on that one.
and so I look back and I wish I would have asked Gary again about the doubles, even though he kept telling me he was in no doubles, but we didn't see when Nelson crept up. And I'm not blaming this on Nelson because if it wasn't for Nelson, we wouldn't have been there. But if there was one time that I went to sleep, I think that was the one time I went to sleep when I didn't make sure that our guys was in no doubles because a double couldn't hurt us, but anything over your head could have did it. And they hit it over our head and they did it. So that was those 7 games was the toughest I've ever seen and ever been a part of. And at that point, we had gotten Tony La Russa, who was known as one of the best managers in the game, to use his whole roster. He was out of players. He had to send a pitcher up there to bunt, and the sucker went up there and got the bunt down. But he had used his roster. We had made him use his roster, and we had gotten to where we wanted to get, but it just wasn't to happen because we beat Bergman, and he threw that ball over the second baseman, over Kinsler's head, and the rest is history after that.